Hey everybody, how's it going? Just today I want to clear up a little bit of confusion and just teach you guys an easy way to do Warlock well skating on a controller. So you might see some videos where you have to change some keybinds and stuff like that. Today we're just going to do it with the default settings because that's what I use. So just to go ahead and practice this, just start up a private match, do Mayhem. You can really do any map that you want as long as it's somewhat open and there's like a ledge that you could just sit on, and that's all you really need. You can set it to as long as you need to, and heavy is just going to keep spawning, so we'll just load this up and we'll get started. So we're in the private match now, we have our heavy ammo, and we found our ledge. Now, what you want to do is you want to kind of press 4 buttons at the same time. Those buttons are shoot, so R2, jump, which is X, and then your super, which is the two bumpers, L1 and R1, or grenade and melee. It's the same thing on Xbox, just go to those assigned buttons. So what you want to do is after you pull your sword, so you hold triangle to swap to your sword, and then you have 1 second as you see that eager edge proc on the left side. You have 1 second to do it. And what you want to do is a little bit of a wave effect, starting with R2, moving to your super, which are the two bumpers, and then jump, which is X. So you kind of want to start with R2 and then do a little bit of a wave, pressing all the buttons. It'll appear like you're pressing them all at the same time, but if you do them all like exactly at the same time, it's not going to do anything. So you kind of have to do that smooth transition, but it has to be quick. So for my finger placement, I have my thumb on triangle to swap, and then I move my thumb to jump, which is X, and then I have my middle finger on trigger and my two indexes on the bumpers. Now, just to show you like kind of what you don't do if you don't add jump, so you might be a little confused about that, this is what it looks like. You can see I didn't use any sword ammo, but my super popped, and that's not what you want. So that's what happens when you don't add your jump into that. But if you do add your jump into it and press them all at the same time, this is what you get. And that's the easiest way to well skate on controller. So I'm also going to go over how to do the light sword skate. Maybe if you don't have your super, this is still a really effective way to get around. It's a little bit more technical, so there's a little bit of a learning curve. But it consists of 4 sections. The first section is to jump and swing. So you want to jump, pull out your sword, swing. That's the first little bit. Once you can get that down, after you jump and swing, you want to swap back to your other weapon, because if you just hold out your sword, it's going to stop you in your tracks. So after so the next is going to be jump, swap, swing, and then swap back. Once you can get that down, we can move on to the next part, which is adding in a jump with it. So once you can get that down, you just add a little jump in after you swap back, and once you hit the ground again, you can just keep pressing X, and that'll get you to keep gliding forward and bursting forward. And this really does help if you have the burst glide on. It doesn't really matter, but the burst glide does give you that boost of momentum, so it is pretty useful for this. And then after you do that, you can add in your Icarus Dash. Now, I do have my Icarus Dash bound to my crouch button, which is R3. Normally it's circle on default, but it doesn't really matter much for this as long as you can get it off. So what you want to do is after you do your jump, you want to be able to Icarus Dash. Anytime after you do your jump is fine. I hit the ground here and did it, but usually I do it while I'm still in the air. It doesn't really matter, but it still gives you that boost forward. If you don't do your jump before it, it's kind of like the sword when you don't swap off. It'll just stop you in your tracks. So you just gotta practice that, you get the timing right, and then, once you get it, you can just put it all together. I might also see some people doing this without sword ammo, and it works exactly the same. You just don't get, as much as the eager edge, but it's still a lot better than doing the regular eager dash. It's still a pretty good way to get your movement. So you can see I go maybe this far with regular eager dash. If I throw a sword in there with it, I get that extra burst. I even take some damage from this, so it's pretty good. And that's it. That's how you do your warlock skating on controller. Hope you guys found this useful. See you in the next one.